Good afternoon, Nevis. Good afternoon, St. Kitts. Good afternoon to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. My name is Alexis Jeffers, and I'm here once again for another edition of On Point for today, the 28th day of July 2023. Indeed, it is my pleasure to be here once again, and as I always say, it is certainly an honor, a duty now as well to come here on a Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. during my lunch break to spend an hour with you, the listeners and viewers to this particular program, and of course those who are tuned in to Van Radio. As usual, I'd like to welcome one and all who are listening down there in Statia, Sabre, French and Dutch St. Martin, also down in the British and U.S. Virgin Islands. Of course, we have persons who are now tuning in the United States, and I speak of the entire United States, the eastern seaboard all the way across to the west coast of the United States and the northwest and all over the United States. We have citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, and more so citizens of Nevis who are in these parts as well, who are going to school, who are working, who live there, who are visiting parts of the United States at this time, and would want to stay in touch with what is going on in Nevis, so they stay locked and tuned into Von Radio, of course. I want to say good evening to the folks up in Europe, especially the United Kingdom. Of course, this is tea time. I say that every time I come here. Tea time in England. Persons are having their cup of tea at this point in time. And then you go into Asia, of course, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. And I say good morning to those who are listening. So welcome one and all, and indeed it is a good day to be alive here on the island of Nevis. It's beautiful weather outside. Of course the sun is hot, yes, but we had some showers earlier this week, and Nevis is already looking lush once again. It just seemed like you just need a shower or two, and then Nevis is back to being beautiful as ever, with green lawns and green vegetation all up and down the island. So we're praying for more rain. While we pray for more rain, of course, we're still in the hurricane season. Goes until the end of November. And of course, we continue to admonish our citizens to pay attention, to stay locked into Von Radio, follow all of the bulletins on YouTube or on Facebook, wherever you can find information. Go ahead and access it so that you can stay in tune with what is going on in terms of what is coming off of the African coast. Most times it's a hit or a miss. These days we've been having some tropical wave, yes. And indeed none of them have amounted to much as yet, but it only takes one. And we always say, when you least expect it, a storm can move from being a tropical wave to a tropical storm, then to a hurricane in a matter of hours, sometimes days. But be that as it may, we are accustomed to this particular time of the year, and we have that type of expectancy, but we also continue to pray that we'll be spared, because we've had some very good months thus far in terms of activities here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. More so here in Nevis, a lot of things have been happening, activities have been held, and we've hardly had any washout of any sort. And indeed, we still see quite a number of visitors on the island. Speaking of visitors, of course, we have quite a number of visitors who have come already for Culturama this year. I'll touch on that shortly. But normally around this time as well, just for a few minutes, we just touch on some of the social issues or social events. I would want to first and foremost remind the general public, of course, of the funeral of Ella on Monday of this coming week. That's Monday the 31st, and that will be held over there at the Gingerland Methodist Church at 2 p.m. I believe. But Von Radio, I believe, would have that particular announcement, and we'll hear that sometime later today, over the weekend, and of course on Monday, so stay tuned for that. I am encouraging one and all to come out and show your support. This was a tragic accident. Ella was, 80 years old, and I would have said before, we had hoped that Ella would have, faded away quietly, but she was snatched away from us, and there was a candlelight visual there on Wednesday evening there in the Zion area, and a procession would have gone down to the New River area where she would have met that tragic, had that tragic accident, that is. And of course we were there, and it was a somber time, yes, but when it's all said and done, I will not spend too much time on it, because we have done so before and persons would have made their feelings felt. It is a matter that is in the hands of the police, and that will be dealt with accordingly. And many have asked for swift and sure justice. So that's, I believe those words are profound in the sense that we are all expecting some results from that matter, because it is one that is certainly laying heavily on the hearts of all of us. And indeed, if we can be there on Monday afternoon at 2 p.m. at the Gingerland Methodist Church, it would be our way of showing our last respects to Ella. And certainly she will not see us, of course not, but her spirit will certainly feel our presence, so we'll all go out. At this time, there are a couple of persons who are celebrating. One in particular, my good friend, Sharissa Maynard, lives over there in Butlers. Sharissa, have a wonderful day today. I did call her earlier and tell her to have an awesome time and live as if it's the last day you're living, meaning just go on out and have fun, frolic, but be safe about what you do, and ensure that at least you survive this one, but enjoy it to the max, because these days we don't know. We'll never know what the future is like tomorrow, next week, next year. So that's why I'm saying enjoy this one, and all who are celebrating, find time to enjoy yourself. Nothing is wrong with that at all. It's an excellent way to celebrate a birthday. That celebratory mood is one that you'll always love. Yeah, so Sharissa, I'll catch up with you soon, and all the best for the rest of today. My good friend as well, Romancia, had a birthday on Wednesday, I believe. Yes, Wednesday. I think she's still celebrating. Continue to enjoy yourself, Romancia. Celebrate. Both of you are young, so to celebrate. The young people celebrate these days. Yeah. Okay. So I was saying that persons are now here on the island, already here for Culturama 2023, the 49th edition. And what I want to say is welcome to all of you. And now you're here, it is time to enjoy the festival. Last night was the opening of Culturama. I drove around. I didn't get inside of the facility because I just wanted to come into town and have a look. Had some other things happening during the day, and I just couldn't take it on last night, but had a look at the amount of vehicles that were up there, and my understanding is that there was a very good crowd in the complex, and indeed that is a good thing. That's an excellent sign, because before Culturama, people start saying things like, oh, Culturama is dead, they're not feeling it. But let me say to the entire Nivision public, Culturama is what you and I make it. Meaning, if you go out to have fun, we'll all have fun. You'll have fun. Your colleagues will have fun. Your friends, your family, everybody. Just go out and have fun. That is what Culturama is all about, or most of what Culturama is about, and that is having fun. Now, if you decide to sit down home and say, the place is dead, I'm not going anywhere, and a number of persons decide to say that and do likewise, then of course Culturama would be a waste. But I don't think that is the case this year, because there's a buzz in the air, and many will say that most times you feel the real Culturama vibes the final week, or the last week, let's say the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and down into the Tuesday. But I want persons to understand that once you build this hype up now and you get the energy going now, it means that when you get to next weekend, it will be at a fever pitch that all of us and all of you would have come to enjoy Culturama will certainly enjoy it. Certainly it would be worth your money coming down here to enjoy friends and family, or the company of friends and family. So go on out and enjoy yourself. I'm talking at length really because it is what we make it. Ultimately, that is the case. So go on out and enjoy Culturama. The calendar of activities, everyone should know that by now, but I want to speak specifically about the event that I have been spearheading for the last 20 years. Well, this is the 20th year. So in 2003, I took responsibility for the hosting or the execution of Herbert Beach Affair. And it has been an event that has had its highs, its lows, good times. Can't think of any bad times, but when there were some lows, you know, you felt bad about, you know, the situation then. But it was not our doing, because there are so many people who have tried over the years to dampen the spirit over there in terms of creating difficulties for us over there at the Herbert Beach Affair. But we've continued to press on, and we've been pressing on, and we'll continue to do so into the years to come once there's health and strength, because Herbert Beach has its role to play in Culturama. As a matter of fact, it is the last big event outside of the parade that is held on Tuesday, the final Tuesday, and then you have last lap. Put that aside. The activities that are leading up to Culturama, during Culturama, I will say Herbert Beach is the largest event that we have during Culturama, and that is the one that provides that crowning moment, so to speak. If you've had lackluster Culturama, when you get to Herbert Beach, the mood will certainly change. So we have had our role to play over there, and it has been certainly it has been an event that everyone have enjoyed who come over there. As a matter of fact, the reason why I love Herbert Beach Affair so much, it gives the vendors from that side of the island, on the northern side of the island, a chance to make a dollar as well. Not only the vendors from that side of the island, or the northern side of the island, but also vendors from all over the island. As a matter of fact, from all over the Federation, because persons would come out of St. Kitts and come over and sell stuff as well. So it is one that is local, yes, but it has that international flavor. And what I mean by international flavor, people come from all over the world. We've had artists from Trinidad, St. Vincent, the British Virgin Islands, the US Virgin Islands. We've had artists from St. Kitts and Nevis. So you've had artists over there from all over the place. But once they come to Herbert Beach and they would have made their mark there, it seems as though their careers would have gone a bit higher, taken a different level after that, because Herbert Beach brings out that in everyone. So this year I'm inviting persons over once again to the Herbert Beach Affair. It starts at 12 noon on the 7th of August and goes down until 12 midnight. This year, we're saying that we're bringing back the greasy pole. We're also having a bouncing castle for the children. The string band will be there, honeybees. I'm going to make those arrangements shortly, but I'm certain that they'll be available to at least give the patrons their good flavor of our local string band music. The Grandmasters will be there, of course, Small Axe Band, and the Regal Band. That's a young group of talented Nivisians Nivisians, and of course I believe you have some foreign nationals in that band as well. So it is a band with young persons, and nonetheless they will be there, and they have assured me that whenever they come on to play, they'll be able to hold their own, and I'm going to give them that chance. Of course, you have the DJs such as DJ Zemba. He will be there. He's the man who has been around for many years. And of course, you have DJ Lalbo. He is coming as well. DJ Wet Dot, and a couple other DJs who will announce accordingly. But as we go along, we'll have an update to the flyer or the poster that is out there. But one of the big events that will be hosted over there is a bingo on that Monday evening. So perhaps one person, but for sure there'll be 3 games, and perhaps one person will be able to win all 3, or multiple persons will have a chance to win. So it's $10,000 will be up for grabs over there when we host that bingo on Monday evening. So that should be something to come there to be a part of. I'm saying if you're a returning national and you were to come and win some monies make sure you leave some with the NHLDC and pay some money down on a piece of land. Or you can say, well, I've made back some money for my ticket expense, or some of the expenses you would have incurred here on the island of Nevis. But if you are someone living here, you have a bill to pay, you'll get some monies to pay a portion or even all of that bill. But there will be some monies to be made over there on Monday the 7th of August. So I'm inviting everyone to come across. Tickets will be $100, so you come and buy a ticket and you play the games, 3 games, and you can either win $2,500. Second game would be $2,500, and then of course the last one would be $5,000. So you can win all 3 games, and of course that would net you $10,000. So we'll prepare for that. So that is the new addition this year. We just felt we can put that in this year as an incentive for persons to come on, but also for persons to make an extra dollar. You come there, you spend every time you come. This time it's a chance for you to make $1. So that's Herbert Beach Affair on the 7th of August. We'll speak more about that next week, of course, God's willing, when we come back. But of course also we'll have some ads here on the on Von Radio, hopefully starting Monday or Tuesday of this upcoming week, so that we can continue to inform the public. They say good communication and effective communication is repeating things over and over and over again. So if you hear me say certain things over and over again, it's a part of the process of effectively communicating with persons. So if you hear me talk about Herbert Beach 20 times when I come here, it's because I want persons to know Herbert Beach is well and truly on, the Herbert Beach Affair, that is. And you must put that on your calendar to be there on Monday the 7th of August. If you drive down there right now, there's work being done to clear the areas for parking. We'll do some work on the road going down to Herbert Beach. And of course I did mention in a different forum that there will be 2 exits coming out of Herbert Beach. One heading to the west that will take you towards Nisbet Plantation or Blue Crescent as we know it, and then there's one heading to the east which will bring you back up to the Island Main Road just in front of ex-petrol gas station. So we are doing that this year because last year there were so many persons and so many vehicles down there. It created a difficult situation in terms of the movement of traffic down there. So you'll have one way in, you're coming from the south heading down to the beach, and then of course when you're exiting, you'll either go west or you'll go east, and that will get you out of there easily. We'll have the place nicely lighted, and indeed you'll see some signs directing you when you're exiting Herbert Beach. So we're doing a few things this year which is a bit different, so that we're ensuring that it is a lot easier for you to maneuver in and out. So that takes care of Herbert Beach for now. And like I said, we'll have some ads running on the station here at Von Radio, hopefully starting Monday or Tuesday of next week. Okay, so that being said, Culturama, go out and enjoy yourself, be safe. But in being safe, also ensure that you take care of yourself and you continue to enjoy what is in store for you for 2023. Last week, and I believe the week before, I did mention that our convention, the Concerned Citizens Movement Convention, is scheduled for Sunday the 13th of August at 4 p.m. down there at NIPAC. We are well and truly moving ahead with our planning, and more will be said as we go along. But I am saying these things now because, you know, once you get into Culturama, all of the focus will be on Culturama. But as soon as we're out of Culturama, then you'll shift your focus at that time to the Concerned Citizens Movement Convention that will be held on the 13th of August. And indeed, those of you who would still be here beyond the end of Culturama, you're here until that weekend after Culturama, come and join us. The NIPAC, I think it can seat about 400 persons comfortably, but indeed we are hoping that even if you're not inside, you're in the courtyard, there'll be big screen set up outside so you can see what's going on inside, if you're not inside of the building, that is. So we are anticipating a large turnout, and we want everyone to come and feel the energy that we'll have down there at NIPAC on the 13th of August. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, you're here for Culturama, and indeed, I will say as well that some persons are perhaps coming back to Nevis after the last election that was held in December of 2022. Some of you were brought here on the morning of elections, which was the 12th of December, if my recollection is correct. Yes, 12th of December. You came in the morning. You came in on the premise that the NRP was out there spreading this propaganda that nothing going on in Nevis, which is really an old, worn-out, tired phrase these days anyway. But you came in that morning and they whisked you up to Fountain, they whisked you all over the island to vote. So you didn't get a chance to see for yourself. Now that you're back, I want you to take a tour of Nevis. Please, take a tour of Nevis. Look at all of the roads that we have been doing here on the island of Nevis. From Cotton Run all the way up to Catalang Part, from the bus stop there at Shaw's Road all the way up to Nisbet Plantation, go up to Shaw's Road, go up to University Heights over there in St. James. And University Heights, let me remind the general public and those of you who would go up there and have a look, those homes were constructed for our young men and young women who would have gone abroad to study at a 4-year university or college. And they've been back here in Nevis for at least 5 years or more. That in itself is one of the qualifications. And also we said we would sell them 8,000 square feet of land to build a house, a package more or less, 8,000 square feet at $1 per square foot. And indeed the house valued at about $350,000 thereabout. But it's one package. But to qualify, like I said, you must have been back here after being abroad, studied at a 4-year university or college, back home for at least 5 years or more. We did say that the payment per month will not exceed $1,800, and indeed we have built just about 10 homes up there, 10 houses. So 10 of our young men and young women who would have gone abroad and studied and come back home to make a contribution to the island of Nevis, we wanted to keep them here on the island of Nevis to continue their contribution. You know, there are times people get frustrated, they can't get access to housing, and they have student loans, and they will just tell themselves, listen, things now work out the way that I want it to here now, so let me go abroad. What develops then is what we call brain drain. You lose the best of your young men and young women and their skills. Instead of it being used here on the island of Nevis to develop their homeland, they go elsewhere to develop someone else's country or someone else's island. So that is why we introduced that program as a government, the Concerned Citizens Movement, that is, to ensure that we are keeping our brightest and our best here. And of course, we have had good results out of that because persons have come and they have benefited. So those persons will be here, whether they are a lawyer, whether they are an engineer, whether they are or whatever technical abilities they have. They're there and they're here. Business persons, and they're contributing, and that is kudos to the Concerned Citizens Movement for such a move. And of course that would be expanded in due course, but at least so far the first phase have gone well. And those persons, so I spend some time on University Heights because there are times when persons will overlook University Heights and the significance of that development up there. It could have been anywhere in Nevis, but I said as the Minister of Lands, we're going to roll it out in St. James. So it was rolled out up there in St. James. At Garner's, we call that area. So you go and visit that. You visit all of the different housing development up at Madden's. We have done phase 1, phase 2, and now we have gone on to phase 3. So up there at Cedar View housing development at Madden's. You go around the island, you go up to Butler's, and you'll see the beautiful work that has been done thus far with the enhancement of the road network there in Butler's. You go over to Zion. Well, before you get there, Eden Brown area, that is an expansion of the of butlers, so to speak. Then you go up into Zion. I passed the funeral home down there in New River, you know. That came, we don't talk about it, but that's an investment that came under the Concerned Citizens Movement. And it is something that has created some life. You know, it's a funeral home, but it has created life in the Matty Bottom area. You have the drag strip across from it, and you have this particular institution just across from the drag strip. So you have some life in the area. There's a young man just around the corner who does some banisters as well. So in that area, and then you have a shop down there, you have farming down there. New River has some life to it, yeah? Then you go up into Zion area, the Zion Playfield, the housing development below Zion Playfield. So all that area has some life to it as well. And you continue around the island, of course. All up in Rollins, roads were built. You go down into Hanley's Road. Drive down into Hanley's Road on that lovely piece of road going down there. And then, of course, you continue on all the way down to the fruit orchard down there at Hanley's Road, Indian Castle. And that is something you must visit, that particular fruit orchard. You must visit that place while you're here. You go down and you get a tour with Banky and his team down there who have been doing a phenomenal job. And we continue to talk about it. There's a reason why we talk about it. It was one of those initiatives that the Concerned Citizens Movement would have, brought about as a result of the difficulties we had with COVID-19. And, persons were saying that all of this jelly that is coming from St. Vincent and other places, we like regional trade, but we can also provide our own commodities and food and other items right here on the island of Nevis. So we started that initiative, and indeed you go down there, you'll see a number of different type of fruit trees and different food type that is being grown down there. Of course, there is almost 5,000 different 5,000 jelly trees down there, coconut trees, whatever you want to call them. You have guava, apple, sugar apple, that is, gooseberry. You also have mango trees, banana trees, golden apple, sugar cane. So you have quite a number of items that are being grown down there. Watermelon, of course, pineapple, all those are down there. So it is one of those areas that we are proud of in terms of what it means to the island of Nevis, not now but into the future, because that is a legacy that has been created down there. And then you leave there and you go around the island, you can see all of the development that is being done. One thing about Nevis I can tell you, as you drive around Nevis, everywhere you go you see beautiful homes. Some other countries you see pockets of beautiful homes, yeah? And then you go into areas that look more depressed than others. But here in Nevis, you drive around the entire island of Nevis, and there are beautiful homes all around Nevis. So when you drive around, you have good roads, good infrastructure, good housing, of course, yes. And then indeed, when you hear people talking about so many bad things are happening in Nevis, nothing is happening, you will see for yourself that Nevis is a buzz. There's life in Nevis, work in Nevis. Persons are going about their business and getting things done. Some will say nothing will go on. Well, nothing will go on for them. But I will not spend time on the naysayers today, because this is a time for you who would have come to get a taste of what is going on in Nevis. Nevis is nice. And anywhere you go, when you go back to the United States or to Europe or wherever, listen, I went home, and man, I feel like going back to Nevis tomorrow. Tell them so when you get up there. I used to come back home when I had my vacations and so forth, and when I get back to Florida, I used to say, man, I miss home. As soon as I get off the plane in Miami, I used to miss home, because Nevis is home to all of us. And I will not say one bad thing about Nevis. If I say it, I'll say it to myself, but not publicly, because when it's all said and done, why would I want to destroy the island of Nevis? Call it down, say the worst thing about Nevis, and then what? People who will join me and say the same thing. Then that gets out to the international community, and then what? People tell themselves, me? I hear things bad down there, I can't even buy a pound of sugar in Nevis. That's what the opposition is saying. Things are so bad, they get up in the morning, they say, I'm so depressed when I get up. That is what they say. How could you be depressed in Nevis when the sun rises in the east and a fresh breeze is coming into your face when you wake up in the morning? Goes down in the west and you look at it setting across the ocean. Beautiful sight. How could you be depressed in this island? One of the most beautiful and charming islands in the Caribbean, and if not in the world. So don't let nobody fool you. So to go around Nevis, go down to Cherry Garden. Above Cherry Garden, you'll see Chimney View Crescent, housing development, over at the top of Craddock Road. If you want to drive up that new road, drive up. Or if you want to drive across the, we call it the Pump Road, but it's the Stuart Williams Drive. And when you drive across there, I will say, I apologize for the state of the road, but some work was done to lay some pipes across that road in advance of the resurfacing, the tearing up and resurfacing of that road after the Culturama season is done. But the inconvenience will be worth it in the end, because you won't see it now, but when you come back, you'll be driving on brand spanking new road up there on the Stuart Williams Drive. So you'll see a housing development at the top of Craddock Road. It's called Mountain Crest or Mountain View, something I forgot. I launched that a couple of years ago, but I don't remember all those things. But when you go, you'll see. One thing I know I won't forget is the sight of those buildings when I pass there. Beautiful. And the housing here in Nevis, it's the envy of the Caribbean, because many people come and they cannot believe that these houses are affordable income houses. Many times they look at them, they say these look like upper middle income houses. Beautiful houses. You could go up to Coon as well. That's over there at Cotton Ground, just above the playfield over there. And some work is being done in Cotton Ground as well. So all over Nevis, when you travel, and then you can take a trip across the St. Kitts just to get a feel of the water taxi facility over there. Of course, it's not completed, and the opposition make a song and dance. Oh, the pier ain't finished. I don't know about that, because I see boat docking by the pier every day, and hundreds of people embark and disembark over there every day. As a matter of fact, I'll say to you, if you're visiting and you haven't been following the numbers between January of this year and June 30th of this year, over 122,000 people would have used that facility to embark and disembark, to go across to Reggae Beach and come back to Wally. And I will tell you this much, based on those numbers, they continue to grow. Facility is not complete yet. Imagine when it's completed. If that is the case, 122,000 people. So when you hear all this foolishness about, oh, the pier not finished yet, the pier is finished and in operation. The building is under construction, and that will be completed in short order. And I forgot to mention up there in St. James, don't forget, when you go by the police station, take a picture and tell your friends, when you go back to the United States, this is a police station in Nevis. It looks like a hotel, 5-star hotel. And all that the opposition have to say about it is that the area where a fire truck should be housed, they say you can't hold a fire truck. Let me say to any visitor, the fire truck hasn't been bought as yet. And you see that red fire truck down there by the Charleston police station? That is not going to go into that particular area. Those up at the airport won't be going in that either. A truck would be bought to suit that particular holding area. Yeah? And as a matter of fact, whatever will be bought will be a size just to maintain or do some work, whether they go up into Westbury, up into Mount Lily Fountain, wherever, if there's a little fire or some fire, they are going there to start the work before the major engine comes in. Yeah. So as far as I am concerned, based on what I understand will be bought, we'll see what happens when it comes, and then we'll see who was right and who was wrong. But that design was done by Mr. Colin Walters, an architect, good architect up there at Fountain. He would have gone to the fire officers who work over there at Newcastle, who will be eventually housed in that particular facility, and he went to them and they looked at it and they gave him the blessings to go ahead and finish the design. It wasn't designed by Alexis Jeffers or anyone in the CCM government. a competent division, a competent architect would have done the design of that building and would have done all of the necessary consultation with the fire officers, and that is what they came up with, and that is what was built. It wasn't just haphazardly done. Same thing with the police station, the area that housed the police. Consultation was done with the police officers at Newcastle, and the then Commissioner of Police was also consulted. Everyone was consulted before the final design was done. It wasn't done by Alexis Jeffers, but it's a beautiful building. Some work is still yet to be done in terms of the parking area and so forth. Anyway, so I spent some time on that. It's 25 minutes to 2, so let me get on to something else. But I just wanted to go out and see what is going on in Nevis. Don't take anybody's word for it. You go, experience Nevis, experience the nightlife, I must say. Go down to Penny's Beach, have some food, go all up and down, wherever restaurants are, go and patronize them and enjoy the food that is being sold here on the island of Nevis. You have a wonderful cuisine here. Leave that and move on. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to just touch on something else quickly, because there is a clip that I want to play now of the Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Terence Drew, where he was speaking about the Honorable Mark Brantley, who is away in England at this time, where he would have asked him to, intervene, have a meeting and have some intervention on his behalf and on the behalf of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I just thought I'll play it because it certainly brought out a level of maturity that I believe this federation has been yearning for over the years. Over the years, we have been hearing all kind of rhetoric between St. Kitts and Nevis, especially the leadership. And this is a very good opportunity now for the leaders that we have in the federation, that's the Prime Minister and the Premier, to work together. This is our 40th anniversary of independence that we're about to celebrate in September of this year. And over the last 40 years, we've had a lot of bickering, a lot of noise. And when it's all said and done, a lot of the noise have led to a lot of confusion in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Some of the slaughtering that you see taking place here in the Federation among our young men and young women, you wonder if some of this rhetoric can be attributed to that. I don't know. Some research will have to be done, some examination of that will have to be done, but then you had young people up and down with all kind of ringtones with some unsavory things that have been said by some of our leaders. But I want to commend the Honorable Mark Brantley and of course the Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis for at least trying on a matter of national importance and interest. Why I say that is because in 2013, thereabout, and 2014 were the worst years in the history of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis when it comes to foreign affairs and what it meant to the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. You may recall that situation with this Iranian, I believe it was Mogadam, who showed up in Canada with a diplomatic passport, say he's there to meet with the Prime Minister of Canada, and he said he paid $1 million for the passport. Well, a division was the Minister of Foreign Affairs then. I don't want to get into that type of politics per se. But let's move on. In 2014, we were given the news that St. Kitts and Nevis the visa-free access that we hitherto enjoyed was taken away from us. Just put it bluntly. Couldn't travel to Canada anymore without having to apply for a visa. And it was because of the actions of the government of the day, meaning the new biometric passports that were being issued then, back in 2012, didn't have the place of birth in it. So persons from Iran, Iraq, and certain countries that we should not have been selling passports to avoid them being recognized from those particular countries, that particular spot or place in the passport that indicated where you were born, that was left blank. So I got a diplomatic passport somewhere around 2013 when I became a minister. When I look in it, Didn't say I was a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis, or I was born in St. Kitts or Nevis. They who got passport in 2012, 2013, for example, from Iran and those countries, didn't say that. Another thing, he didn't indicate whether you had a name change or not. So these are things that were done to hide some of these bits of information that are important and that were germane to the holder of the passport, you know, presenting that and really showing the immigration there in Canada or any country exactly who they're dealing with. But that was done. Whether it was for money, I don't know. I don't even want to get into that. But fast forward, in 2014, we got the news that St. Kitts and Nevis and other countries, but I'm more concerned with St. Kitts and Nevis, that access, visa-free access, was withheld from us. It was a dark day in our history. And fast forward, in 2015, the Honorable Mark Brantley became the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And immediately, I believe the elections in 2015 was around the 15th or 16th of February that year, in 2015. But immediately after that, Mark Brantley went on a journey. And his journey was to have all of the necessary meetings and negotiations with the Canadians to ensure that we can reverse that particular difficult situation. He did so, met with the Canadian High Commission to Barbados and the OECS, met with officials, even the Prime Minister of Canada, who came here to Nevis, I believe it was 2016 thereabout, for his Christmas vacation, met with him, and he has been having meetings, and every time he opened his mouth as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, he was talking about the work that he was doing to ensure that that situation was reversed. Didn't happen in his time, but it happened shortly after. Shortly after this current administration, the Labour administration, would have taken office. As a matter of fact, to be exact, in June of this year, that situation was reversed to a large extent, but there were conditions attached to it. But we can now go. Someone who has a US visa already don't have to apply for a Canadian visa. The list of conditions are available to all of us. You just do your research. But all I'm saying is that we're not in the situation that we had back in 2014. So there have been some difficult situations faced now by Dominica, for example, from the United Kingdom, where their citizens are now in a similar situation. So the question is whether St. Kitts and Nevis will find themselves in that same situation. And all that is being done by the Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis is to ensure that the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis continue to enjoy the privilege that they have currently, where you go to England without a visa. And so all that the Prime Minister is trying to do is to do what was not done then, and I applaud him. But if he chooses to work with Mark Brantley, who have had the experience, one of the best Minister of Foreign Affairs that this country has ever seen, and this here I raise my voice because it's a fact, Mark Brantley has been the best Minister of Foreign Affairs that this country has ever seen. And I say that with no water in my mouth, because he has had the results to prove that and to show that. Currently, Dr. Denzil Douglas is the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He has another 4 years thereabout, so he might very well prove me wrong. But to date, I will tell you that Mark Brantley, and I say it again, is the best Minister of Foreign Affairs that this country has ever had. So the clip that is making the round seems as though it is causing a lot of consternation and a lot of noise by those who want to see the worst for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. But I'll play the clip first and then I'll make some more comments. I'm hoping that the technician have it lined up. Thank you.
Is that I had introduced him to that group, and so he traveled to UK on personal business, and while he's traveling I spoke with him because we have decided there are issues of national interest that we can collaborate on. We have our differences. That is a given. But I am determined that I would not allow the national agenda to suffer because of partisan differences, especially on an issue as important as our relationship with the EU and the UK and so forth. And so he met with a number of persons who I, as the Prime Minister, would give permission to happen, and he did that, and he has reported back to me. And what he has reported back to me is a fairly solid and good report, and so I look forward for when he comes back so that he and I can sit in person, and while I plan my trip to the UK and plan for the reception of our partners in the UK. So I just want to update the country and to let the country know that on this matter, we have decided that we're going to give it St. Kitts and Nevis best shot as we had started before. This is not reactionary. That is why people say, why are you traveling with the opposition leader? And so we had never seen that before. But of course, if we are thinking new and we want to create a sustainable island state, we can't do we can't do things as we used to do it. Had we not done that, we would have been behind the 8 ball. But because we did that, we are way in front of the 8 ball. To the point where if his travels, he had been introduced to the persons and can take St. Kitts and Nevis' position forward. One of the things that engendered a lot of confidence in those who represent us is when the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition sat in front of them and say, we have our differences, but St. Kitts and Nevis, we are united from the political realm to put forward this agenda of having us being, of course, represented to some extent by this parliamentary group. And they took us very seriously because they themselves were astonished, had never seen that. And so they are very interested in helping St. Kitts and Nevis because they saw a level of political maturity that maybe they themselves had not reached as yet. And they are saying that if we have come to that point, therefore this is a serious country, these are serious people, and we can work with them to improve upon a good relationship that already exists between the UK and St. Kitts.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that insert. And I want to commend the Prime Minister because I think he understands what he wants to accomplish as the leader of this federation. I think he understands that there are policy adjustments that have to be made. I think he understands that some confidence has to be brought back into our CBI program. And he has to prove to the world that he is doing what is necessary to ensure that even their immigration security arrangements, so forth, will be protected by our efforts in terms of us ensuring that we do the right things when it comes to selling our passports and ensuring that the right set of persons are engaged in the program. We don't want to suffer the same pitfall that Dominica would have suffered in recent weeks. And I want to say kudos to Prime Minister Drew and Premier Brantley for understanding that the national agenda of this federation is more important than what someone out there might say that somebody's pandering or sucking up to. Listen, one thing I can say about this particular situation, if it goes the wrong way, all of us will suffer as a result. Right now we can get on a plane. Tomorrow British Airways comes into St. Kitts. Some of you who have already bought tickets to go, you go down and you jump on, fill out the necessary documents, and you go on. If this thing doesn't go as it should, meaning we don't pay attention, if there are warning signs and if there are warnings or admonitions that are being given to the Federation to clean up any part of the program and we refuse to do so, then we'll suffer the same fate. So I want to commend Dr. Joe and Dr. Mark Brantley. And I said Dr. Mark Brantley, and I know why I said Dr. Mark Brantley. He has 2 honorary degrees. I never heard Mark Brantley call himself a doctor, which he won't. I am absolutely certain he won't, because an honorary doctor degree, or whatever you call it, is not for someone to get up when they get that honorary doctorate to say, I am Dr. anything. It is clearly articulated. So those who here who have their degrees, Well, congratulations. But let me tell you something. I've learned that I've been exposed to doctors for a long time, because in Brick Hill we had a number of doctors over there, you know. We had Dr. Mills. Those of you who are old enough to remember Zacchaeus Mills, Dr. Mills, yeah. He has a son by the name of Doctor. And then we had a gentleman named Dr. Fat, a very good mechanic. He lives somewhere down in St. Martin. So I know doctors around all the time. And I go to a doctor, a medical doctor, or whomever, annually to do my checkup and so forth. But I find that there are some doctors here in Nevis who seem as though they want accolades and have nothing to show for it other than to say, I am Doctor this, Doctor who, Doctor when, Doctor where, Doctor whatever. Yeah? But, Dr. Drew, you sound like a smart fellow. I want you to, when you hear these doctors here in Nevis in the NRP talking, hear and play deaf. Right? Hear and play deaf. Because I would tell you, all the doctorate they have, they ain't got a thing to show for the doctorate. They ain't got a job. And they're all, listen, they're all connected with the same old cord. They're woven into the same old cord. Meaning, they are one and the same. One, they're lazy. Two, they don't have any work. Three, they haven't done anything for themselves over the last 5-10 years. They have advice for everybody. But what do they have to show? What is their trophy? Nothing. They don't have a business to employ anybody. They don't pay social security on behalf of anyone. They don't have a payroll. They don't have a payroll weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. So when you hear them talking, they talk from a standpoint of anger. And why I believe they're angry is because they were hoping that you would come along and give them a job to do in St. Kitts. Because a lot of them got jobs over there under the last Labour administration. Went down and create havoc down there in the institutions in St. Kitts. So I applaud them for not even watching them. But I would like these doctors who have all of the answers. I said some time ago, they're like this wooden pot spoon that my grandmother had. She used to use it to turn corn, to stir porridge, to stir up, rice, to stir soup and everything, just dipping in every pot. They have an answer for every issue, but yet still they don't have anything to show of substance that they have done. If you're a doctor and you have knowledge of the environment, what have you done? If you're a doctor and you say you're an agriculturist, where is your farm? Where is your plot? Where is whatever? If you're a doctor and you say you're a veterinary doctor, where is your pet grooming business? What do you have? But you have an answer for everything. You have a solution to everything. But in terms of you having an answer to your own issues, you don't have an answer. But you expect people, young people, to listen to you and put you into government. So when I say you're all cut from the same cloth, you're just sitting there with your hands in the slip. You know when a man playing cricket, you're in the slips with a two-hand cock like this? If you're looking at Facebook or YouTube, you'll see. Just waiting for something to come off the edge. Either to get into government or to get in and around government to see if you can collect a paycheck. That's all they're waiting to do. Meanwhile, young men and young women out there working various jobs to make ends meet and to save something and to support the family. But these people not doing anything, waiting for something to come off the edge. And I want the people of Nevis to understand that when people come to you and they think they have the answer to everything, ask them to show you their trophy. What trophy you got? What are you doing for yourself? I could talk because I have done things in this island and there are a lot to show for it. Even I talk about that business over the Caribbean pools is still going. I remember when we went out there, the first business to go over there was that same business, Caribbean pools. When we dug the foundation, it's pure water we met. I said, what are we doing out here? You remember Jamestown? Yeah. And they had a tidal wave over there. But since then, a lot of other businesses have come. So that's a legacy over there. But what I'm saying is that, listen, this effort on behalf of the Prime Minister and the Premier of Nevis is one that I must applaud. And it is an effort that is meant to save the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis from potential embarrassment. It is an effort to ensure that the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis can continue to enjoy the privileges that we currently enjoy. And if it takes a number of trips to England, it takes a number of trips to Canada, take a number of trips to wherever throughout the globe, and the Prime Minister sees fit to take the Premier with him, someone who would have been there and have tremendous respect throughout the globe as the Minister of Foreign, or former Minister of Foreign Affairs, but then Minister of Foreign Affairs between 2015 and 2022. The respect is still there. And if the Prime Minister sees value in the Honorable Mark Brantley, I said to you, Prime Minister Drew, take him wherever you want to take him. Because when it's all said and done, ultimately, all of us will be the beneficiary of your efforts. And I want you to succeed, because if you succeed as the Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, all of us will succeed. I remember saying down there in Parliament, yes, I'm on the opposition bench, or benches. But if the government brings something that is beneficial to the entire Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, I will support it. I didn't come down there to, told him I didn't come down there to make noise and to carry on with any rancor or create mischief. We're there to work on behalf of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. People of Nevis 11 would have sent me to Bass there. And what they said with their vote, go and represent. And representation does not mean you get up every morning and make noise. Useless noise. Representation is sitting down and figuring out, what can I do to ensure that I'm making a difference in the lives and the livelihood of the people that I represent, or we represent. So we have gone to St. Kitts and we said from day one, Premier Mark Brantley, you're the Premier of Nevis. We want you to be the leader of the opposition. Because when the Prime Minister speaks to you as the leader of the opposition, he is doing one and the same thing at the same time, meaning he speaks to you as the Premier. I could have been the leader of the opposition. Eric could have been the Minister. Evelyn could have been the leader of the opposition. Anyone else on the opposition bench could have been the leader of the opposition. But for the sake of the Federation, we felt the best move was to ensure that Mark Brantley was there as the leader of the opposition, and he can speak and negotiate on behalf of those of us on the opposition benches at the federal level, and also on behalf of the people of Nevis. And so far, so good. It is working out just fine. And so when I see these things, I applaud all of us as politicians who seek to bring that level of maturity to the table and that level of respect for one another. Because for far too long we have had too many fights in this federation. If it's for this year, we can have a harmonious situation, let us do so. I don't know what next day is going to hold. I don't know what is going to happen in 3 years' time or in 5 years' time. What I can tell you is that at this point in time, we have an opportunity to make a huge difference in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, a huge difference in the lives of the people of this federation. And that we must do as politicians. There will be a time to play politics, but when there's a time and there's a serious times ahead of us, let us face the headwind that we are facing with some seriousness and understand that our decisions today could make a big difference tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel good about the future of this federation. Feel good about the 40th anniversary that is coming up too. And I believe if we continue to display the maturity at the national level and at the local level, this federation will be much better when it's all said and done, and we'll leave a rich legacy behind. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm almost out of time. Today was one of those days again where, some people say I come and chat. Yes, I love to talk, and some people are asking when they'll get a chance to call in. Well, the time hasn't come as yet. It's just as simple as that. Because, I can come here and talk for 2 hours, but you'll get bored, I'm sure, but I'll enjoy myself anyway. But anyway, I'm coming on to the end of this program. I want to just remind everyone that this is Culturama, of course. Go on out and have safe and clean fun. I also said last week that when you meet the CFBC fellow, right, just say fish pot wire. You all haven't reported back to me as yet. When you meet him again, say, well, I only make it show, but just a fish pot wire. I'm having fun. Fish pot wire. and then you'll hear what his response is. One of these days, if I feel like Von Radio give me the chance to say what it's all about, what I'm talking about, I would. But anyway, leave that alone and move on. Ladies and gentlemen, I heard the music in the background just now. Just remember that we'll go out and support Eller. Pay our last respects to Eller on Monday, 2 p.m. over there at the Methodist Church in Gingerland. And of course, keep in mind Herbert Beach affair will be on the 7th of August. We'll talk more about that next week. And then I'll go ahead and recognize some of the sponsors as well at that time. We normally would do that to give them commendation for their effort. That has been my program for today. It was indeed my pleasure, and it's always a pleasure coming here to spend my lunch hour. But now I'm hungry. Time to go and eat something. I'm out of here now. Thank you very much for listening. God bless you. Enjoy the weekend. Take care of yourself. And let us continue to be good citizens of this federation, but more so, good stewards of Nevis and its affairs, and make sure we can protect this little island that we so love. Thank you very much, and welcome all visitors to Nevis. I'm out of here. God bless you. Enjoy the weekend. And I'm gone. Thank you.
With all the power from the tower, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.